You may not know it, but how you feel today often has something to do with your past. All of the woundedness you carry within your soul originated somewhere. Maybe it is something that happened years ago in your youth or formative years. Perhaps it is something that happened only yesterday. But no matter where the problems originated, you've got to start doing some soul searching. If you are going to break the cycle of emotional bondage and experience joy, it is vital that you get to the root of your pain. You know, after Jesus healed me from the pain of depression, he continued to strip away layer upon layer of hardness within my soul. Now, at that time, I had no idea I was carrying roots of anger and fear and rejection, and that these roots had caused a great deal of pain in my life. Even though the crippling effects of depression had been lifted, I still needed to get to the root of my emotional baggage and go through a process of restoration. I had to learn to trust God with the origin of my depression and all the repressed anger and fear I had been harboring. I had to open my heart again, become vulnerable, and expose myself to the work that needed to be done. I needed to reach a point where I was no longer willing to cover up the problems. I had to allow God to get to the root of the matter so I could be free from not only the symptoms, but the causes. Getting to the core of the pain meant reaching a whole new level of hardness. And I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that this was easy. The process was agonizing at times because these hurts were tender. Nevertheless, I made the choice to move forward. Understand that emotional issues are not resolved in a day. My journey toward emotional healing took years, and I'm still not perfect. But everything I went through to get where I am today was worth it. Many people are in hiding, denying or refusing to face the problems because of fear, guilt, and shame. Christians especially hide. They go to church every Sunday, pretending everything is fine, only to return home to their prisons of emotional torment. I hid for years. Back when I was going through the depression, even though I was falling apart emotionally and spiritually, I didn't want to admit it. Admitting my inner woman was a mess meant failure. Outwardly, I had it all. So how could I tell other people I was miserable? I believed the lie that I had to be great, self-reliant, and perfect, or at least look like I was perfect. It wasn't okay for me to look like I had this great life and then say I'm not okay, at least not out loud. So I kept everything locked inside and pretended. Every day I carried heavy emotional burdens because I was unwilling to let go of the pain I held in my heart. I put on the mask that told everyone around me everything was fine, even though deep down I was anything but okay. It can be hard to admit how we feel, I know, but healing begins when we can take off the mask and admit there is a problem. In order for God to get to the roots we carry inside of us, we've got to stop hiding and get real with ourselves. Some people go for years thinking they are over the problems and traumas of the past, but then one day when they least expect it, something happens, and it's usually something minor that triggers a memory or a feeling. Then suddenly, without warning, the memory instantly throws them back to a place where old feelings of hurt, anger, and resentment resurface. Beloved, we may believe we've gotten past the past, but infectious wounds that have been buried alive never die. Emotions like depression and anger are a sign that something else is wrong, and ignoring the problems, ignoring the root, or hoping you'll get better will not make you better. If you are struggling with the same emotional pain over and over, it's because you have a root that has not been dealt with. If you want to move forward toward enjoying a healthy soul, you will need to confront some painful issues from your past. You know, one day I was having lunch with a friend who sat across from me and insisted that she had dealt with her painful past and had moved on because she no longer thought about the events of her past and the pain she suffered through harmful relationships. However, her emotional state and on-again, off-again bouts of depression told a different story. What my friend is doing is she is repressing her past instead of dealing with it. Since she is blocking the pain, refusing to get real with herself by denying the fact that she is still carrying the harmful emotions of bitterness and anger, she remains in bondage. Denying that we are carrying wounds of emotional baggage will not help us. We need to admit there is a problem and admit we need help. The first step is very important. In fact, it's vital. In order to be free and experience joy, the root or roots need to be exposed and removed. Until we can look our past square in the face and tell the truth, we will remain imprisoned in emotional torment. My friend Cheryl Griffin, the author of A Scarlet Cord of Hope, My Journey Toward Guilt, Shame, and Fear to Hope, understands the importance of this first step. She puts it like this: just because, and I'm quoting Cheryl here, just because you're choosing to ignore a situation that you know needs to be dealt with doesn't mean it goes away. It's still there. And remember, time does not heal all wounds. To heal in a healthy way takes facing it, talking about what brought you there in the first place, and then moving forward in a new direction. If you choose to not deal with the heart of the matter, it will leave you trapped in the same patterns and cycles. Beloved, you've got to stop sweeping your emotions and past hurts under the rug, pretending like everything is okay, because it's not okay. If you don't stop hiding, if you don't get to the heart of the matter, like Cheryl said, one day when you least expect it, those painful emotions will surface like an ugly monster you never knew lived in you. I know you want to stop feeling the way you do and experience joy, but in order to change, you've got to stop making excuses for the way you feel. You can't do anything about what happened to you in the past. The past is the past, but you have got to come to a place where you make the decision to let go of your past and hand over your emotions to God. You cannot change yourself. Only God can change you, but you must make the choice to make the change and then allow God to do the work. God sees the deep hurt, shame, and rejection you've suffered, and only He knows how to get to the root of the matter. Make no mistake, identifying the root issues may not be easy, and getting to those roots will hurt. When you have surgery, it hurts. Emotional surgery is no different. It will hurt as God tenderly draws out those infected areas and begins to touch the wounds of your past. Old memories and past hurts will resurface, but they need to be exposed. And once those infected areas are uncovered, you will be able to see them more clearly. And once you see the roots and begin to understand the origin, you will be a lot more eager to hand them over. In the midst of the surgical pain, hold on to God. He will never take something from you without giving you something better in return. So allow God to take your suffering and give you hope. Allow Him to take the torment and give you freedom. He wants to take what feels like death and give you life. So stop holding on to the negative influences of the past. Give up the bad in order to receive something good. Turn over every wrong in your life and place it in God's hands of love. I understand the past may be painful and something you may not feel you are ready to face, but go ahead and take the first step toward healing. Admit there is a problem and then try to identify the root. Try this. First, pray and ask God this question: why am I feeling this way? You may already know why you feel the way you do, but most of us only know part of the story. So often there are underlying roots that are buried so deep that we don't even know they are there. Still others have absolutely no idea where their negative feelings are coming from and why they are feeling the way they do. So it's vital that we start by asking God, why am I feeling this way? Only God knows the whole story and sees the big picture. Only God can reveal the really, really deep stuff. Now, after you have prayed, consider these possibilities. Have you experienced a loss in your life? Have you been deeply disappointed? Are you discouraged? Do you compare yourself with others? Do you feel a lot of shame or guilt because of a past mistake? Were you hurt by other people? Are you deep in financial debt? Is there something that has you deeply worried? Identifying the root and understanding the source is the first step in overcoming emotional pain. And once God exposes the root and you see its origin, write it down. Now, if you are having trouble identifying the root of your pain, consider these questions. And please be honest, because the more open you are with yourself, the easier it will be to see the source of your suffering. Okay, question number 1. What events do you recall throughout your life that caused you to feel abandonment, shame, insecurity, anger, or fear? Now go all the way back to childhood when considering this question and mentally scan your life up until today. Number 2, as these events surface, what emotions are also surfacing? Number 3, what life-altering events have taken place in your life? For example, did you experience a loss? Did you have an accident that changed your life? And number 4, what are you going through now that is causing you to feel hopeless? Okay, now try again to identify the root. And as soon as you see it, write it down and then take it to God in prayer. Beloved, do not give up. There is hope. And we are on a journey to find joy, real joy. Today was the first real step toward finding freedom for your soul. So rejoice and do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is your strength.